Today you're going to be learning about the different techniques that you will be incorporating into your final project. The first thing that you're going to be learning about is gradation, which is basically a technique where the colored pencils blend from one color to the next in the same color family. When I say color family, I mean warm colors versus cool colors. The warm colors are the reds, oranges, yellows, pinks. The cool colors would be the violets, any version of blue, and any version of green. For this project, you're going to be receiving a pack of 24 colored pencils. These are a higher quality pencil. They're also different from the pencils that are in your bin. It's essential at all times that you have 24 pencils. So I'm going to ask that you keep your pencils on your own desk. Try not to drop them on the floor or mix them up with the person next to you. And at the end of every period, you're going to have to open up the pencils and count to make sure there's 24. There's nothing more frustrating than getting a pack of pencils and you open it up and you realize, wow, I only have 20 pencils and 3 of them are black and 4 of them are red, and you're missing some essential colors that you need. So be very diligent in making sure you always have a complete pack. Now the trick to gradation is 2 things. Number 1, you are going to be working with a series of pencils. You need to do a minimum of 3. Usually I pull out maybe about 5 from the pack, and once I have them in the same color family, I'm going to be putting them in order from darkest to lightest, just like a value scale. So here I have what's called a mahogany. That's my darkest red that's in the pack. And coincidentally, red's right next to it, so regular old red would be second. Out of these oranges, the red orange would go right after the red, and then I have a regular orange and also a yellow orange. At this point, I could incorporate also yellow at the end if I wanted to, but the thing about yellow is that when you are trying to use it, it's such a light color that it sticks out like a sore thumb. So if you add yellow to the end of any gradation and it doesn't quite seem to blend, just take the yellow orange over top of the yellow, just a little bit, and it should mute it. All right, so now my pencils are in order, and I'm ready to do my warm gradation. I'm actually going to turn this upside down so I can see what I'm doing, but you will also be able to see it on your own. The trick to gradation is to push really hard. The harder you push, the better your grade is going to be, because the harder you push, the better the pencil is going to blend. So you push really hard with your first or your darkest color, and then you let the pressure ease off of the pencil just a bit, and it's going to slowly start to fade away. What I'm going to do is then pick up my second color, and I'm going to start where my first color was still really dark, so that's right back here, and I'm going to be pushing really, really hard, again, because the harder I push, the better my grade will be, and I'm covering up all of that dark red with the regular red before I ease off the pressure of the pencil and let it fade away as well. So just like a little value scale, it kind of slowly gets lighter. I'm going to pick up my third color, and I'm going to repeat that. So I'm starting where the second color was still really dark. I'm pushing really hard, overlapping all of the red with the red orange, and then easing off the pressure of the pencil. So you can see what's happened is I'm slowly transitioning from one color to the next. However, they blend nicely and it doesn't look like just stripes of color. The other thing about gradation is you're going to be using this to color your sections of your project, and you want to make sure that it goes to the edges of each section. So as you see here, we're not going to want it to look all crooked or haphazard on the end. So you want to take your colored pencils from left to right and make sure that it meets up with the edge of whatever is you're coloring. Neatness is always key. Craftsmanship is always part of your grade. So you want to make sure this looks nice and neat as you can make it. Now, when you're doing gradation, chances are when you pick your set of colors, it's not going to take you all the way to the end of the strip that you're coloring in. However, the end needs to be filled. You're considering this just like a portion of your project. The trick is, though, we started from dark, we went to medium, then we went to light. You're not going to start again with the darkest pencil, because if you put the dark pencil next to the light pencil, there's going to be a really bold stripe in between the 2 colors. So at this point, if I went wet red, or dark red, red, red orange, orange, yellow orange, I'm not going to start with the dark red again. I basically climbed down a set of stairs and I want to climb back up them. So I have yellow orange, then I would go to orange, then I would go to red orange, red, and then mahogany. You can keep basically climbing down the stairs and then climbing back up the stairs, and it will still be a nice blend of colored pencils. Now occasionally when you do this, you're going to see, like you see with the cool colors here, you might see a stripe in between your colors. That's completely completely natural for that to happen, but you want to make sure that doesn't happen too much, because if it doesn't blend, it's not a nice gradation. It's basically just stripes of colors. If this happens, it doesn't mean you've ruined your project, but you do want to kind of fix it. So what I would do is pick up one of the colors that's bordering the other. For this case, it's purple next to blue, and I'm just going to take the purple over top of the line between the purple and the blue in the opposite direction that I colored, and it kind of mutes that line a little bit and it makes it blended in. You can always go back over things and keep recoloring. Same here between the blue and the light blue. I'm going to go left to right over the line. And just like that, I've taken that liney look, that stripy appearance, and I've muted it and made it blend in a little bit better. And the more you work over top of it, the better it'll get. The other two techniques you're going to be required to do are stipple, which is using markers to create a series of dots, as well as cross-hatching, which you can use either markers or colored pencils to make a series of lines that overlap each other and form a bunch of X's. Not only is this going to put texture on your piece, but it also even shades it in and gives it little points of value. So for this stipple, the trick is that you want to do controlled dots. What that means is you're going to turn your pencil, or I'm sorry, your marker upside down, and you can work quickly, but you don't want to work so quickly that you on your paper start to make stripes and it makes it look messy. So you want to do controlled dots overlapping each other. Some areas are going to have pockets where there's a lot of dots next to each other, like this case. Some areas you're going to have areas where there's dots that are farther apart, and what's going to happen is that's going to look like it's shaded in and it's darker than this area here. You can see I used a thick marker there. You can also use thin markers. I like to do at least two colors in the same color family, so I did blue, and now here's a little bit of violet. All that does is it adds a little more visual interest to your stipple. It makes it have a little bit more visual depth. It makes it just look a little more interesting. So you can see that stipple there. This entire rectangle should be filled in. I'll show you my finished product in a second just to see. You can see this area is darker and this is lighter. Finally, when you are doing cross-hatching, you can do either marker or colored pencil. I like to use two colors in the same color family again, and basically it's just a series of X's. So you're going to go from on a diagonal with lines. Some are going to be farther apart and some are going to be closer together like you see here. You then want to switch the direction of your pencil and go back over the lines in the opposite direction, and essentially you're making a big checkerboard or a bunch of X's. I like to put a second color in, and again, since these are closer together, you're going to see that this looks like a darker area, this looks like a lighter area, and again fill the entire rectangle. Before I show you my final worksheet, I do want to just kind of point out this little piece of scrap paper. Gradation can be tricky. You can pick out some pencils, you can think that they look really great together, and then it just so happens that when you go ahead and you try the gradation, there's just kind of one color that sticks out like a sore thumb. So I really encourage you to keep your journal open or use a piece of scrap paper like this and just try your colors out before you're putting them either on the worksheet that we're doing or your final project. Finally, in the end, your worksheet will look something like this. We have the gradation that totally fills the stripes and it blends neatly from one color to the next. You don't see a lot of stripes and you don't see a lot of work outside the line. And then here you have an example of how nice your stipple can look. Some of the areas have the dots overlapping, some they're farther apart, all the colors in the same color family, as well as the cross-hatching. These are great techniques to learn, but please know that these techniques are also used by professional artists. You can get a great deal of detail using stipple marker and gradation, even if you're doing something as simple as a portrait.